All right, today we're going to dissect a pretty challenging philosophy. It's one that can feel like a poison, a tonic, and deliberation, all at the same time. Think of this as a digestible diatribe, one for the modern, maybe even disaffected soul.
So we're going to start with an image you probably think you know, but it's been twisted. This is not the simple metamorphosis you learned about in some philosophy 101 class. No, this change is subtler, more poisonous, and as our source here suggests, maybe because of that, all the more beautiful. It really sets the stage for what is less of a lecture and more of a parable.
So who is this jester we're talking about? Well, he's not your typical prophet, pointing us up towards the heavens. He is a prophet for our time, a time when, let's be honest, the high places are often just scaffolding for comfortable, cowardly living. He speaks from the depths and to the disaffection that I think we all feel sometimes.
Okay, let's trace his journey. It begins, like so many great stories, up on a mountain. But it's his descent, this downward path back into the world of people, that really defines who he is. And trust me, it's a descent unlike any you've probably heard before.
You've got to understand his motivation here. He's not coming down the mountain to hand out gifts or share some comforting wisdom. He comes down as an incendiary, to light a fire. And it's a willful, even selfish fire. His whole goal is to replace the borrowed warmth of old inherited virtues with the searing heat of radical self-creation.
So the first thing he brings to the town isn't some promise of salvation. Oh no. It's a shock to the system. He introduces this concept of the overman. And listen, this isn't some reward you get at the end. It's an abyss. It's a terrifying rope stretched between our comfortable past and a future of dangerous becoming. And to really hammer his point home, he shows them the alternative, what he sees when he looks at the crowd. He calls it the last man. This, he says, is their ultimate goal, their so-called happiness. It's just an exhausted contentment where everything is made small, made safe, an existence that seeks only the mildest of deaths.
And this, right here, is the central conflict the jester throws at us. It's a choice. Are we, as a species, going to choose the dangerous rope walk of the overman, always striving for something greater? Or are we going to settle for the comfortable, safe, and ultimately small existence of the last man?
This whole idea is captured perfectly in the story of the tightrope walker. When the walker falls, the crowd just sees a sad tragedy. But the jester, he sees a teaching. He sees the absolute nobility in taking a huge risk, even if you fail. He doesn't see the fall as a failure, but as a joyful, terrible truth.
That man on the rope was reaching for something more, and that act, that striving, required a sacrifice the herd could never even begin to comprehend. And as the jester teaches us, the path to greatness is and always will be a lonely one.
So, after being totally rejected by the town, the jester's purpose does a complete 180. He realizes he's done trying to teach the masses. From now on, he will only seek fellow creators. He's not looking for followers. And he embraces his new companions, the proud eagle, which is his will, and the cunning serpent, his wisdom.
So, having failed to inspire the herd, he turns his attention to a new project, destruction. He wants to demolish the very values that keep everyone so complacent. And to do it, he picks up a philosophical hammer.
His first target is the very foundation of traditional morality. Where the old world blesses the meek and the poor in spirit, the jester flips it. He blesses the despisers, the shameless, the lonely. Basically, anyone who dares to break away from the herd and create their own virtues. This isn't just a simple reversal. It's a full-on declaration of war on comfort itself.
And he doesn't stop there. The assault continues. He reverses the Sermon on the Plain, but he doesn't condemn the rich. He condemns the comfortable. He doesn't praise pity for the suffering either. He sees pity as a weakness that actually prevents growth. For the jester, struggle is the forge where the overman is created.
And this might be his most radical move of all. A traditional teacher says, "Follow me," right? But the jester's farewell to his companions is a demand for rebellion. He literally says, "Lose me and find yourselves." The greatest gift a teacher can give in his eyes is freedom from that teacher.
Even the foundational stories, the parables of the sowers, the mustard seed, he completely re-engineers them. They're no longer stories about humble submission to some divine plan. In the jester's hands, they become powerful symbols of earthly self-creation, of the individual's unstoppable will to power.
So, after taking a hammer to the entire old world, what does he build from the rubble? Well, this brings us to his new, singular, and final commandment.
The source material calls this the greatest subversion of all. I mean, think about it. After tearing literally everything down, he offers one single positive value to replace a world of shattered ideals.
And that value is this, amor fati. It means the love of one's fate. But it's described as a terrible love because it means loving everything about your life, not just the good stuff, but the suffering, the mistakes, the pain. It is the ultimate act of self-affirmation.
So, in the end, the jester replaces the love of God, the love of your neighbor, with the most radical commandment of all. Love thyself. And not in some shallow, narcissistic way, but in a way that embraces your entire fate, creating yourself from the whole messy truth of your being.
So where does that leave us? We've walked the downward path with him. We've watched him shatter old values, and we've heard his new commandment. Now, it's time for the grand reckoning.
Ultimately, you have to understand that the jester isn't a savior you're supposed to follow. He's a mirror, a dangerous, grinning mirror that he holds right up to the face of modern man, forcing us to look, really look, at our own potential for both comfortable cowardice and dangerous greatness.
And what does that mirror show us? A truth that is both absolutely terrifying and strangely joyful. With the old gods and old values gone, both the burden and the glory of creating meaning, of creating ourselves, falls completely and totally on us.
And so we don't end with an answer. We end with the jester's final provocative challenge, aimed squarely at you. The responsibility is now yours. So, what will you do with it? What will you become?